Mike Pearson, the chairman, and Sean Cavanaugh with Building and Grounds. Good morning.
Good morning, Vanessa.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, glad to have you in here. Let's jump right into yesterday's county board meeting.
It was a lengthy one, Vanessa. You missed it.
I did. I couldn't be in 3 places at once.
It's okay.
You could be in 2.
The real highlights of the meeting were we had a good discussion with Spear Financial Group on how to finance and when to start financing the jail, which also goes to when potentially construction would start. And again, it's a long process, but we're moving forward.
Okay, good.
Basically, Spear Financial has been brought on as a consultant to advise us on such matters. They have been with us for several years. They went over the county sales tax revenue collections, and based on the first 6 months of this year, it looks like we will have over $1 million at the end of this year just from the sales tax alone. We have also set aside $2 million of COVID funds to go towards the jail project. So one of the reasons we wanted this gentleman here is to see, do we want to wait 2 years? Is there a risk to waiting? Higher costs, inflation, any number of factors. Or should we plan on moving forward a little sooner? It's kind of balancing things out. And we had a discussion that was well over an hour.
Yes.
And very productive, lots of good questions. He had several scenarios and so forth. And basically it comes down to a process of several different steps in a timetable. And, first would be authorizing an ordinance and publishing and authorizing an ordinance. And that's just sort of an initial, hey, everybody, guess what? We're moving forward on this. And then, excuse me, once those, pardon me, I apologize. Once those 2 steps have been taken, there is a 3-year window of which we can close the whole process and begin construction. We don't estimate that it would take 3 years, but for the sake of moving the project along, we're most likely next month going to be moving ahead with an authorization ordinance and to publish that ordinance. And that would be done in October, and then we could discuss matters as time goes along, depending on the cost of materials, where the sales tax numbers coming in, and different projections, and also interest rates. I know there was an interest rate cut yesterday, a good one, but those were pretty much anticipated and kind of figured into some of the pricing and so forth. That will affect more so short-term lending.
Right. That the short-term lending is what that rate affects, and of course we're looking at 20-ish years, so that's more long-term. But basically, we bought the land, so we're on step 1 of many steps, and by moving forward with the ordinance, now we're going to step up to step 2. And we got a long flight to go before we have our ribbon cutting of our new jail, but we're moving up the steps.
Remind us the cost of the law enforcement center again.
We've got 3 different numbers, as a matter of fact, depending on the size of the facility. I just want to make sure I have it correct. A 40-bed facility, this would include the facility and things like desks and computers and other items that would go inside such a building, would be $19 million. 12 additional beds that make it 52-bed facility, $20 million. And a 60-bed facility, $21 million.
Okay.
So we've got to decide.
Are those rounded off numbers?
I think, I just assumed they'd be spot on. But probably, they're very close estimates provided by Ringland Johnson.
Yeah, it's coming back to me now. I just wanted to be reminded because it is a lengthy process, like you said.
It is. And we have to decide rather early if it's going to be a 40, 52, or 60-bed facility. The sheriff would prefer a 60-bed facility, but it all comes down to revenue, the type of bond issue, and a timetable. One thing that we have to take into account when having a jail is that there are several different classifications, if you will, that people must be separated. And they have to be separated by gender, age, offense. If you've got, they can't be all in the same. If you're pre-trial or awaiting sentencing, or you've already been sentenced, those are separated. If 3 buddies were in on the same crime, they would have to be separated so they can't collude or come up with stories in jail. Mental and emotional needs, substance abuse, sexual orientation, vocational needs, special services. If someone's trying to harm themselves, there's gang activity, physical size, stature, and so forth. So there's, you can't put all these people all in the same cell.
Right.
So
right.
it makes sense in that aspect to go larger. But also we have to think in advance what's going to happen with the no cash bail. It's not really working out the way the legislator planned on it working out. Turns out letting certain criminals right back out on the street hasn't paid off, unless in fact you are the criminal. Then it's working great. You're having a heyday, and the people out there walking around just don't like the idea of that law. And we suspect, but we can't count on it. But I would personally think that that's going to go the way of the dodo bird.
Okay.
Because it just is an asinine law that I can't believe was signed in.
Okay.
We have to anticipate, too, the fact that right now our population is low. 3 years ago we had a population of overcrowding.
Maxed out.
At the jail.
So it's cyclical. So, they had people at one time sleeping on the floor and
then we're shipping them all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're taking in Henderson County
We are, yes.
inmates as well, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that could be a form of non-traditional revenue. Well, we've got a long way to go on the jail. I'm sure we'll talk about it more as we continue county board discussions.
It's definitely a very exciting topic, and the county board's done everything correct so far. In the process of leading up to it, the referendum obviously went over very well, but the public is very fortunate to have the county board that they have, because they've been taking very, very seriously every single step, because we got one chance to get it right, and we're going to get it right. So they should take great comfort in that.
Okay. What's next?
Well, what do you think, Mike?
Well, we had quite an agenda that we went through, but it was pretty much normal business. One of the key things is, as our downtown revitalization project continues, we are the next quadrant. And the question that I had in my mind is...
The courthouse quadrant. Yeah.
The courthouse quadrant is next, and how are we going to get into the courthouse? We really only have one ADA accessible avenue to get in, which is the east door. But when they tear up the northwest quadrant, you're not going to be able to come directly into the courthouse like we do today. And until they get the sidewalk put back in, like they have in the quadrant they're working on, they've got the sidewalk done so you can get back to the front door of the businesses. How are you going to get into the courthouse?
What'd you guys come up with as a solution?
The long way around.
Basically, you're going to just start at the front of the jail. There's an angling sidewalk that goes from the front corner of the jail across the back,
Or the north side.
the north side of the courthouse, and there's a sidewalk that is ramped that you come up. You're going to walk along the north side of the courthouse and come around on the sidewalk and come into the east door. So the east door is still going to be used, but you're going to come in from a totally different direction.
And there will be signage. The sheriff, as the official custodian or caretaker of the facility, will come up with some beautifully artistic signs that are very clear and easy to read. But it's going to be a pain in the shorts for a while. But this downtown square revitalization, it's a temporary inconvenience for a long-term solution that is going to be beneficial to everyone. You have to give high fives to the city for making sure that this gets done. So we're very happy.
Yeah. And real quick, speaking of downtown revitalization, what's the update on the courthouse getting done?
We have set milestones for the organization that is working on that. There was a one roadblock in front of the other. Supply chain issues were a far bigger issue than we thought they would ever be. But we think we've got all the stones and pieces. So we've got the project broken down into several different milestones. And with each milestone completed, the organization will receive more of the agreed-upon fee. And then when it's all completed in October is what the hopeful date is, then they will get the remaining $109,000 of the contract.
Okay.
So it's there were some days with the heat, but that's only a few days. But I think the biggest problem was supply chain issues. And then, of course, like I say, if you're painting your house and you get up on the ladder, you say, oh, my gosh, these boards all need to be replaced up there. They ran into some of those issues on the courthouse where the stone was a little more damaged than they thought, so there was some extra work there. But that's how the ball bounces in a project like that. But we're very, very eager to have that completed.
Okay. And what else did you have going on in the county board meeting you would like to share?
Well, we have a temporary liquor license for the museum. Abner's is going to be putting on an event, and the Warren County History Museum is not in the city.
Right.
So they have to secure a temporary license. So that was, some pretty easy lifting there.
Sure. That's at the After Dark Magic Fest that's coming up.
Yes. And then we approved contracts for a public defender and alternate public defender as well. And so things are going to be really moving in the courthouse. And we've got good people that have taken on those roles. And I think that those that will be utilizing public defenders should be very thankful that they have extremely qualified attorneys working on their behalf.
Okay. Good update, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
And I'll see you again soon.
That you will.
Mike Pearson with us and Sean Cavanaugh from the Warren County Board on WRAM.